Okay, Fernando. As you know, you've got 15 minutes to present. After your presentation, you'll have a seat and we'll ask you some questions. You can start.
Okay. First of all, good morning, teachers. So I'm going to start my presentation about the possible influence of cooperative learning on students' participation. So a little bit of introduction, the context. The study was carried out in Santo Tomás University with 22 students from different programs and in an intermediate 1 level of English. And my tutor teacher was Isabel Godoy. What led me to the research question was basically that I saw that students worked better when they had to work with classmates instead of working alone, regarding specifically the speaking area. So the justification of the problem, we have here different authors. The first one, it says UNESCO states that education is a means to connect with the world. The second one, learning English for communication, is what Mina proposes. Group work can enhance the students' talking time and speaking skills are improved. Students struggle more when working individually, and cooperative learning gives opportunities to work with peers, and there is a great involvement and participation in group work. So based on all these ideas from these different authors, is that I got to these questions, because if there is a great involvement and participation and the students tend to work better when they work with classmates, there should be more activities in which they can work with classmates, of course. So my research question is, how may cooperative learning influence the students' participation in speaking activities in an EFL context? So the general objective of this is to describe how cooperative learning may influence the students' participation in speaking activities. The specific objectives are these ones: to identify the level of participation in speaking activities, to implement cooperative learning activities in the lessons, and to determine the influence of cooperative learning on students' participation in speaking activities. So the research assumptions are, well, based on these authors, where the first one, Strong, claims that cooperative learning gives students the chance to work with their peers, with classmates, basically. And Salon Stevens states without this, that there is a greater involvement and participation in group work. So based on this, the assumptions are that the students' participation would be directly influenced by the activities they have, by the way they work, that is individually or cooperatively. So they would tend to participate more when they worked with classmates. Regarding the theoretical framework, here we have the two main constructs, which are cooperative learning and participation. And the first one, based on what Ming and Hornby claim, cooperative learning is the instructional use of small groups so that students work together to maximize their own and each other's learning. So for the purpose of this study, this was understood as the students working together instead of working alone in order to learn in a better way. The second one is participation, which is feeling to be free in class, share ideas, make comments, or ask questions regarding Hill's words. So this was understood as any participation that students have in class that is common question. So, regarding the methodology, the paradigm is critical, which its purpose is not merely to understand situations and phenomena, but to change them based on Kohleman and Morrison. So in this case, the idea was to understand how cooperative learning influences the students' participation in order to change that and trying to increase their participation through cooperative learning activities, of course. The approach was the qualitative use. It was used these ones due to the nature of the data, which is connected with participation, which is merely based on observations. So here you have some characteristics of the qualitative approach, which are natural setting, the researcher as key instrument, that is, the researcher gets immersed in the place where the study is being carried out, and multiple source of data, that is, in this case, was used in films and the interview. The procedure was basically to find the problem at first, then go into literature to find authors that support the problem or supports the idea in order to elaborate a research question. Then it was the observation. During the observation part, the time to choose the participants, which were chosen in a way that is going to be explained in the next slide. And here you have the action research stages that are going to be explained later too. And the data analysis, to analyze all the data collected through the different data collection materials. And finally, the findings and conclusions. That was basically the procedure. The design is the action research, as it was already mentioned. According to Mills, action research are systematic procedures done by teachers or other individuals in the educational setting to gather information about and subsequently improve the ways their particular educational setting operates their teaching and their student learning. That is, action research is basically to find a problem in order to then bring about solutions for it and improve the educational field. Here we have the action research stakes according to Kimis and McTaggart, as cited in Burns 2010. The first part is the planning, in which it is necessary to elaborate an accurate plan to find a solution to the or an answer to the research question, in which in this case was to elaborate different lesson plans. Then it is the action part, in which it is necessary to put the plan into action, that is, to intervene based on the lesson plan previously prepared. And the third part is the observation. Here I had to observe and take field notes and basically observe, as it is, observe how the plan is working. And the reflection part is to reflect upon the whole process in order to see if the plan worked as expected or not. The methodology, the subjects and setting, as it was said, the study was carried out at Santo Tomás University in an intermediate 1 level of English with 22 students. The course was compounded of women and men, of course, around 23, 22, around the age of 22, 23. The students were chosen based on maximal variation sampling. Kurzweil defines it as a purposeful sampling strategy in which the researcher is samples cases or individuals that differ on some characteristic or trait. The students were chosen in this way: the 3 students that participate the most and the 3 that participate the least in class, based on the observations and the films and the teacher's perspective. The materials chosen were an interview on films. Well, according to Kurzweil, in qualitative studies it can be found 4 forms of data, which are observations, interviews and questionnaires, documents, and audiovisual material. These were the one chosen by me. The interview was done to the teacher, which consisted of 3 questions that was applied after class, and there were also interviews to the students that were applied between the first and the second module of their class. And the field notes were taken during the lessons. Regarding the data analysis techniques used, according to Criswell, the object of the coding process, which is the data analysis technique used here, is to make sense out of text data, divide it into text or image segments, label the segments with codes, examine code for overlap and redundancy, and collapse these codes into broad themes. Thus, this is an inductive process of narrowing data into a few things. Basically, is to try to put the information that is kind of similar to each other and put it into codes to have a small compressed information. So in this way, I worked with a matrix in which the information was put with codes, and in order to have compressed information, but consider all information anyway. And here we have an example of the matrix. Here we have the category, the data, the raw data, the subcategories that emerged, and the code. And here we have an example of the triangulation of the data. Here the information is trying to be aligned in order to compare if the data match or not. Considerations of trustworthiness, the criteria used were the ones stated about Cuba and Lincoln, as cited in Cuba 1981, which are credibility, dependability, transferability, and confirmability. The first one has to do with taking into consideration all the perspectives, which are the perspective of the students, which was gotten through the interviews, because that was the purpose of the interview to the students. I forgot to mention that. And also consider the teacher's perspective through the interview too, and the researcher's point of view via field notes. Dependability was ensured through having more than one source of information, which in this case is the different interviews and the field notes, in order to give more reliability to the data. And the transferability was ensured through the detailed descriptions of the settings, which are the place where the study was carried out, and the students. And confirmability was ensured by the triangulation of the data collected through the different data collection materials in order to see if the information match each other or not. Expected outcomes were to regarding the understanding of the phenomenon was to know the importance of the cooperative learning classroom, which is something really important, considering that cooperative learning activities make the students to participate more and work in a better way and learning better. And regarding the practice and policy making, it is hoped that schools and teachers deploy more cooperative learning activities. The findings. It was observed that students tended to participate more when the topic that they were studying had to do with their interest, so they got more engaged and they tended to participate a little bit more. So that also has an impact had an impact on their motivation. There was a classmate learning connection. That is, they learned when they worked with classmates because they feel a little bit more relaxed in their comfort zone instead of working alone. And the activities regarding the cooperative learning area help the students to help to take students away or take them out of the monotony of their normal classes in which they just had to pay attention to the teacher and take notes and listen to the teacher. So this gave them more opportunities to express themselves and speak and put into practice the language. And cooperative learning, of course, as it was mentioned, encouraged the students to participate. Regarding the limitations, there were time constraints because at the beginning we had to change. We had changed our tutor teacher, and we had to skip some classes, and there also some classes that we couldn't apply interventions, couldn't intervene because students had to take tests or quizzes. And other limitation is possible fake or influenced answers by the students, because some of them could have thought that they had to give us an answer that we wanted to hear. And there were some absent students during the interventions. The conclusions are regarding the cooperative learning influence on the students' participation is that cooperative learning have an impact on the students' engagement, which motivates them to participate more if they feel interested in the activities, and they also have fun working with their classmates, and it also gives them opportunities to express themselves and speak and practice the language. To take into consideration, it would be useful to apply more than one action research cycle, which in this case it was not possible due to the time. So that would be, more than one action research cycle would bring more accurate results. And consider these as preliminary results, consider all the limitations and the fact that it was only one action research cycle. In the metacognitive analysis, regarding the teacher's researcher's role, it has a huge importance, the teacher's researcher's role, because it's not just to provide the knowledge to the students, just speak, just teaching them, but also to find problematic situations in the educational field and bring about solutions for it in order to improve the educational system. Regarding the strength, weakness, and challenge, the strength that I consider is that I try to create a friendly atmosphere during my lessons, which is not being too serious and tell some jokes from time to time, allow the students speak when they want to speak, so that make the students feel more relaxed and they can participate freely. The weakness that I have is that I speak too fast sometimes, most of the time. So the students sometimes don't understand what I am teaching them, what I am explaining, so they don't know what to do. So that's my weakness. And I have a quote from June 2010. To be beneficial for L2 learning, the input has to be comprehensible because we can't process what we don't understand. So regarding the challenge here, using this quote, is that I need to develop more empathy and try to put myself in the students' shoes and speak a little bit slowly, so that they can understand what I'm teaching them, what they have to do when I am giving them instructions. And those are the references that are used.